For 10 years, I believed my marriage was perfect. Daniel wasn't just my husband, he was my best friend. We built our life slowly from nothing. When we first met, he had a tiny apartment, a struggling job, and big dreams. I stood beside him through every failure and every late night. Eventually, those dreams came true. Daniel built a successful consulting firm. We moved into a beautiful home, traveled often, and everyone around us said we were the perfect couple. But perfection can hide cracks. It started with something small. One evening Daniel left his phone on the kitchen counter while he took a shower. I wasn't snooping. I was just making tea when the screen lit up. A message. From someone named Lena. I miss you already. Thank you for today. Don't tell anyone. My stomach dropped. At first, I told myself it had to be innocent. Maybe a coworker. Maybe a misunderstanding. But curiosity is dangerous. Before I could stop myself, I opened the conversation. The messages were short but emotional. You're the only one who understands. I wish things were different. I'm glad you found me. My heart started racing. I quickly locked the phone and stepped away just as Daniel came downstairs. He kissed my forehead casually. Everything okay? I forced a smile. Of course. But that night I barely slept. Who was Lena? And why was my husband hiding her? Over the next few days, I began noticing things I had ignored before. Daniel started working late more often. He left the house early. Sometimes he stepped outside to take calls. Every time his phone buzzed, he glanced at it quickly before turning the screen away from me. The doubt in my chest grew heavier. I wanted to ask him directly, but fear stopped me. What if I was right? One afternoon, while Daniel was at work, I opened his jacket to hang it in the closet. That's when I found something. A hotel receipt, 2 coffees, 2 lunches, a date from 3 days earlier, when he told me he had a client meeting. My hands trembled. Was he meeting Lena? The thought burned through my mind all day. By the time Daniel came home, my patience was gone. Who is Lena? I asked suddenly. He froze. Just for a second. Then he laughed nervously. Lena? A client. Then why are your messages secret? His face changed. For a moment I thought he would tell the truth. Instead he said quietly, "Please trust me." Trust. The word echoed painfully in my head. Because trust is easy to ask for, but much harder to give when doubt has already taken root. That night, while Daniel slept beside me, I made a decision. If he wouldn't tell me the truth, I would find it myself. The next morning, Daniel left the house earlier than usual. I watched his car disappear down the street. Then I grabbed my keys. For 10 years, I had never followed my husband, but that day I did. He didn't go to the office. Instead, he drove across town and parked near a small cafe I had never seen before. I stayed across the street in my car. Minutes later, she arrived. Lena. She was younger than I expected, maybe in her late 20s. Long dark hair, soft eyes, and a nervous smile. When Daniel saw her, something surprising happened. He hugged her. Not the kind of hug lovers share. It was deeper. Emotional. Almost protective. They sat inside for nearly an hour. Sometimes Lena wiped tears from her eyes. Daniel held her hand across the table. My chest tightened painfully. Whatever this relationship was, it was real. Eventually they left together and walked toward a nearby park. I stayed far behind. They sat on a bench beneath a tree. And then Lena said something that made Daniel freeze. I couldn't hear the words, but I saw the tears in his eyes. I had never seen my husband cry before. Something about this situation suddenly felt different. Not romantic. Something deeper. But doubt is powerful. By the time Daniel returned home that evening, anger had replaced confusion. "You lied to me," I said coldly. His eyes widened. "What do you mean?" "I saw you today. With Lena." The color drained from his face. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Finally he whispered, "You followed me?" "Yes." Silence filled the room. Then he said something unexpected. "Please, let me explain." But before he could say another word, the doorbell rang. When I opened it, a woman stood outside. She looked familiar, but I couldn't place her. She spoke softly. "Are you Daniel's wife?" "Yes." She took a deep breath. "My name is Emily." She paused. "And I need to talk to Daniel about our marriage." My world stopped. Marriage? Daniel appeared behind me in the doorway. The moment he saw her, his face turned pale. "Emily, what are you doing here?" She looked at him calmly. 10 years, Daniel," she said. "Don't you think it's time your wife learned the truth?" The room felt like it was spinning. Marriage? Another wife? I stared at Daniel, waiting for him to deny it. But he didn't. Instead, he looked exhausted. "Come inside," he said quietly. Emily stepped into the house as if she already belonged there. I felt like a stranger in my own home. We sat in the living room. No one spoke for nearly a minute. Finally, I turned to Daniel. "Start explaining." He rubbed his face slowly. "It's not what you think." "Then what is it?" Before he could answer, Emily spoke. "You should tell her about Lena first." My stomach tightened again. Daniel sighed. "Lena isn't my lover." "Then who is she?" He hesitated, then finally said the words that changed everything. "She's my sister." The room went silent. I blinked. "What?" "My half-sister," he corrected quietly. I felt my anger falter. "That's impossible. You told me your father only had one child." "That's what I believed too," Daniel said. "Until 2 months ago." He explained everything. After his father died, Daniel received a letter from a woman. The woman revealed she had a daughter, Lena. And Daniel's father was the father. A secret affair from decades ago. Lena had grown up without ever knowing who her father was. Until recently. When she found proof. Daniel met her secretly because he didn't know how to tell me. Or the rest of his family. His father had been respected in the community. A hidden child would destroy that image. "I needed time to understand it myself," he said. I felt my anger slowly turning into guilt. All this time, I had believed the worst. But my confusion wasn't over. Because one question still remained. I looked at Emily. "If Lena is his sister, then who are you?" Emily smiled slightly. And said calmly, "I told you earlier. I'm his wife." The words echoed through my mind. His wife. I turned toward Daniel slowly. "Please tell me she's lying." Daniel closed his eyes. And for the first time in our marriage, he looked ashamed. Emily crossed her arms calmly. "You should tell her the whole story." Daniel finally spoke. "I married Emily before I met you." My heart felt like it shattered. "But we divorced." Emily shook her head. "Not legally." Daniel looked frustrated. "We separated 10 years ago." "Yes," Emily said. "But you never finalized the divorce." The room went silent. A horrible realization spread through me. "Are you saying?" Emily finished the sentence. "Legally, I'm still his wife." My knees nearly gave out. Daniel rushed forward. "Listen, it's not what it sounds like. Emily and I broke up years ago. We just never signed the final papers." Emily shrugged. "And now those papers matter." "Why now?" Daniel asked bitterly. "Because I'm sick." We both stared at her. Emily pulled out a small envelope. "Medical report. I have terminal cancer." The words hung heavy in the air. "I have less than a year," she continued. "I came because there's something Daniel needs to decide." She looked directly at me. "I don't want his money. I don't want revenge. I just want the truth." Then she turned back to Daniel. "You have a legal wife. And a real wife. So before I die, which one matters more?" The room was suffocating with silence. Daniel looked broken. I looked at him, waiting. 10 years of love, memories, trust. All hanging on one decision. But then something unexpected happened. Daniel walked to the table, picked up the medical papers, and quietly said, "You're lying." Emily's smile faded. These reports are fake. She froze. How do you? Because I already checked. Emily's confident mask cracked. Daniel continued calmly. I hired a private investigator 3 weeks ago. My eyes widened. A what? The woman you saw in photos on my laptop. I remembered them suddenly. The mysterious woman I thought was his lover. Daniel explained. I knew Emily would come back eventually. She always does when she needs money. Emily's face turned red. That's not true. Daniel ignored her. The investigator confirmed something else. He pulled out another document. A marriage certificate. But it wasn't Emily's. It was someone else's. Emily stared at it in shock. Daniel's voice turned cold. You married another man 5 years ago. Which means you committed bigamy. Emily stood up angrily. You planned this. No, Daniel said quietly. You did. The truth was finally clear. Emily never wanted closure. She wanted money. But the plan had failed. She stormed out of the house moments later. And suddenly the silence returned. Daniel turned to me slowly. I'm sorry, he said. For all the secrets. For Lena. For everything. I looked at him for a long time. 10 years of trust. Broken by silence, not betrayal. Finally I said softly. Next time, tell me the truth. Daniel nodded. I will. That night we sat together quietly. For the first time in weeks, the secrets were gone. But one lesson remained. Sometimes the most dangerous thing in a marriage is not betrayal. It's the secrets we keep to protect the people we love.